Yes, you're first, Aaron. And you can tell me what the audio is like. Hey, Greg. Whoops, just banging on the webcam there. So I guess we've got to go through the first 5 minutes of deciding how good or bad this audio is, fiddling around, farting around with settings, which I will then promptly forget for next time. Hey, Paul Rhodes. Fixing things are in the car. You do an awful lot of iPhones, even do computers like Lewis. Aaron, I do pretty much everything that comes in here. So yeah, it's at the moment I'm going through a phase where it's all iPhones, but normally I have a lot of laptops in here too. Seems louder than normal, but in a good way. Rip, and that sucker just popped out violently. Not surprised. Yeah. Okay, I probably got my gain up a little bit too high. Let's see. Filters. Sounds better to me. I'm at 9.4. I might just push it to 7. Okay, that's probably a little bit more human. Yeah, I was stuffing around with it, and thankfully Lewis gave me the sort of it's okay for the input signal to be holy crap. Check that out. I mean, you seen a puffed up battery like that before? That's pretty. That's pretty damn good. Yeah, the drop frame counter. What's his name? Nitro Caster did that. I know Lewis yelled out for me to do it, but um, I'm sort of. I wasn't quick enough. I'm getting slow in my old age. I can't seem to find my Phillips head screwdriver because that's not it. Where did I put it? At least I can get up now and walk around. Yeah, it looks like a pillow. Yeah. So the audio seems okay. There you are. Right. Dr. Daniels is live. Yes, Dr. Daniels and his million capacitor check system. Yeah, this sucker's going to blow if I'm not careful. The story behind this one is that I replaced the battery in this back in, I think it was, it was a while ago. Anyway, what am I doing? I'm not thinking. And this person then messages me and says, the battery's blown up or something, and it's pushing the screen out. Is it under warranty? And I thought, what the hell? How does someone get a battery like this bad? Yeah, especially considering I tell all my customers that is a comical battery, really. That's like almost. I wish I could preserve that. Anyway, I tell all my customers when they pick up stuff, I said, if there's any issues, let me know straight away. But what happened with this one is that they left it in a drawer for 2 months. So, yeah. But even still, that's pretty crazy for 2 months. So I'm suspecting it was a dud of some sort. It's a July 2016, so it's only technically a year old. But when it comes to iPhone batteries, my supplier just sucks. Maybe I should use iFixit. Apparently they've got good batteries. Yeah, it's seriously expanded this thing. If I put a probe through that will. It shouldn't be overly violent, but it will certainly not be pleased. What's happened is it's over discharged as opposed to overcharged, because the batteries will puff up at both extremes. Amazingly, the screen still works. I hope so. most likely what I'll do in this case is I'm just going to warranty repair it, even though it's out of warranty. Um, if the screen had been cracked and damaged, I probably would have kicked up a fuss, but I'm most likely just going to bond it back down. Leaving it in the drawer is not covered, yeah, but I mean, realistically, the battery shouldn't be doing this even left in the drawer for 2 months. Something's gone wrong there. I'm not sure if it'll be maybe the TriStar is misbehaving or something. Let's see. Wow, touch is working and everything. Amazing. I'm genuinely surprised. Shocker. No, I'll just change the battery on that. Do a video outside, putting it. Yeah, I probably should, Qstech. I really should. It'd certainly make a. I'd probably get more hits on that video than I do anything else. Okay, is that off? Yep, it's off. The other thing is this has got water damage in it. The markers are already off. There, you can see the red marker there. So I'll pop the screen out. I'm going to inspect it under the microscope. Speaking of the microscope, the camera for the microscope is in Singapore at the moment, on its way to me. I was a crazy man and I opted for UPS shipping again. Now, those of you who are following my microscope dramas will know that I shipped that by UPS, and it was a bit of a nightmare because they kept shuttling, whatever you want to say, back and forth between two cities here in Australia. So hopefully they'll do better with this camera. Fortunately, I didn't pay anywhere near as much for the freight. Oh, yeah, that's going to require some help bringing it back to. When they over discharge, they grow small dendrites or short. Yeah, it shouldn't puff up. Yeah, we'll see it in 3 weeks. Yeah, when I used to store, the batteries for the model aircraft, when I was selling them, every day or two we'd end up having to go through them and throw out the ones that had puffed up. There was a particularly bad batch that came through at one point, and it wiped out most model aircraft people here in Australia, in fact the world. It was the batteries, you just have them on the shelf and they would come along and they'd just be puffed up and there was nothing you could do. It was an electrolyte chemistry fault in the cells. Someone had cheated, left something out or got the proportions wrong. Needless to say, it cost us all a lot of money, quite a lot. Put a few of us out of business. And for those of us that so-called survived, well, we didn't really survive for long. Most of us, a couple of months later, still closed up anyway. So it wasn't a very good time. Hey, Jonathan, I saw you the other day. I meant to say goodbye, but you disappeared before I got a chance. I have a no backlight one, which I cannot figure out due to no magnification, but it's a bare board and it's not in a machine. So it's just. It could be just is this an iPhone board that you've got, Aaron? And it's just got no backlight? Yeah, Aaron, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same sort of story behind with the capacitors, because I know the capacitors was an espionage thing. Well, stealing sort of thing. Okay, I'm just going to hot glue that sucker back together. If I can find my hot glue. Oh, there it is. I still haven't gotten around to cleaning up my workshop. Honestly, I am the worst. I have high aspirations for being a organized, tidy person. And I gotta say, I am a professional at expertly dashing those hopes. Every single day I wake up, I'm gonna make a mess of things. So now I can't even find my surgical knife that I need. Where is my surgical knife? Maybe it's stuck in my back. Seriously? I have a bunch of surgical knives and I can't find a single one. God damn. Oh, there you go. I'm probably going to get a strike for saying that. Offending, using a deity's name in vain or something like that. Here, surgical knife. Oh, there you are. Over by the ultrasonic cleaning machine, or the ASMR machine, as people like to know it as. Alright, so I just take my hot glue stick and I take a wee shaving of it. This is way too thick, but oh well. There we go. It's like a soft, gooey fingernail or toenail. Oh, it's 82034. Oh, 3437. Oh man, I hate those. I don't know why. Sometimes you just get a glitch with a particular board and then you sort of stick with hating it for too long. It's very immature, I agree. Yeah, there you are. TCRS will help you out. Thank you, TCRS. The repair family comes to the rescue. Now, I did a iPhone 6 PMIC replacement last night. The iPhone 6 has been water damaged from about 2 years ago, and I cleaned it up, but as soon as I power it up, it would chew right up to the maximum of what my power supply would set at. Like I'd set it at 1.2 amps or something, and the PMIC would just like get roasting hot. So I pulled off the PMIC, put a new one on. Surprisingly, I don't seem to have destroyed anything. I was pretty lucky. And I found a way of doing iPhone 6 tri-stars without too much drama as well. I think it might be helping that I'm left-handed. I can sort of get in at a different angle to what other people do. Yeah, that's way too hot. 160, that's good. What's your thoughts on programming the SMCs? Watched a pretty interesting video, Recon 24 Apple. You know, I would be really happy if someone could do those. Not even just for myself, because I've never done an SMC yet. But being able to have the ability to do that when it comes up, that would be really nice. This is only set at 160. It's more than enough to make the hot glue soft and everything. Enough for me to push it down. I'll do one corner first and then the other. Deadboards Live, have you got an even worse workshop, have you? I mean, this workshop, the fact that I've got floor space is a good start from my usual position. I've got to go into the big town soon. It's about 150 k's from here, 140, 150. And I'm going to go to the hardware store and pick up a bunch of stuff to try and help out the workshop a bit more. I'm also going to get stuff to work on that ventilation filter. Ah man, that just hurt. Queues at the moment, I don't think... I'd like to know if anyone has got... Whoops, that's stuck. I'd like to know if anyone has legitimately got the ability to program SMCs. Because if they have, that's something people like Lewis Rossman would be very keen on. In fact, everybody who does Mac repairs. Okay, that's bonded down good enough for me. The mid zone here isn't, it's come loose, but I never bother to rebond that. It's pretty much impossible to do it cleanly anyway. Okay, those, it's fairly tacky. Comms exist between thermometer IC and SMC. Yeah, I mean the comms between the when you're talking about programming the SMC, you're talking about reflashing it or just communicating with it, because I consider them to be quite different. Let's see if this sucker fit will sit in. Just gonna heat up the back a little bit, get that adhesive to soften up. And Leslie, there's a few different SMC chips that they use. The, what is it, L1711 or 22A or something like that. You can get information on it, or very similar chips. But the problem is, how you get to talk to them, who knows. And we obviously know what pins to talk to, because if you follow off the JTAG connector, I think, oh, not the JTAG, there's a couple of resistors on the SMC that indicate which ones to use for programming. But then you got to know what the program protocol is. And what else am I looking for here? I'm looking for my UV pen at the moment. You guys get out of here. Seriously? Where's my UV pen? Great, now I'm going to have to use the UV light to find my UV pen. Oh crap, don't do that. I've got a bad habit at the moment of, for some reason, switching off the hot air directly rather than switching it to cool down and letting it run. So many bad habits. Nope, no pen. Where on earth would I put my UV pen other than here? The weather's warming up too. I can already start to feel the slight prickling of heat. Let's go and check in my other workshop. Hey, meow. Looks like that one will just have to go without being UV marked. I'll just... Yeah, that's unfortunate. Let's see. If you try to dump read the SMC, it erases itself. Oh, hi, Glyn, by the way. Yeah. Well, that's annoying. So hopefully this time next week, I'll finally have some streams that are legitimately interesting with the microscope camera. I'll probably still have to get a reducer. Pardon me. I'll probably still have to get a reducer for the microscope camera to go from whatever the default is down to, I think I need to use a 0.3 reducer or 1/3 reducer, because otherwise what's going to happen is you will see a much smaller portion of the field of view than what I do. Hmm. I think what I'll tell this customer, or at least write down on their. Excuse me, I got a cough. Oh, sorry about that. That came out of the blue. What was I going to say? I think I'm going to write on this customer's report that if it does it again, if it starts puffing up again, then there is actually a fault on the logic board, most likely. My suspicion is there is a. Oh, for goodness sake, I can't even get this battery on. How retarded am I today? Yeah, that was. Actually, I should just test that. I'll put the. I'll get my Vaseline. That's good. And I'll put the iPhone 5 DC connector on. And then I'll see if there is a quiescent or bleed current, so to speak. I better turn it on first and set the. Yep. Yep. Okay. Because I'm not even looking for the on state power consumption. I'm just looking for when it's technically off, is it doing anything? Wow, these connectors are complete crap on these power looms. Utter crap. And no, I'm not showing any. I'm showing 12 milliamp, and that is just the power consumption of the LED on those power looms. Okay, there might have been 1 milliamp in there somewhere. But realistically, we'll consider that a zero. Not that 1 milliamp isn't something to be concerned about. I mean, realistic 1 milliamp on this battery. I think these are about 1700. So that means you'll have 1700 hours of idle time before it starts to get upset. But theoretically, the battery should shut itself off. We just like watching the general stuff too, and just having the company. Surprising what folks can learn watching ordinary stuff. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. Hey, Cormac. Fake anti-tack flux. Yep, being useful. So, so how's that audio holding up? Is it still quite okay in spite of everything? Yeah, Jonathan, be interesting to see someone take the lid off and go straight to the die. I'm very curious to see what they can do, whether they can do anything. I guess they can get themselves plenty of. This is fun. The because it's been bent or whatever. I think the little posts they've sort of pushed a little bit too far out. There we go. Nothing like the terrifying crack. There. It looks like I've still got a screw in there. I thought I got that out. Nope. It wasn't there the whole time. Oh, it's a crack up. What was I saying? I can't remember. It was good to see that Lewis finally got back on stream again. Realise he's been busy and everything, but still. Audio seems fine. iPhone 7 Plus just stays on Apple screen, won't restore in iTunes, but recognised in iTunes. Oh, gee. I think you're going to have to ask the likes of Chris or Jessa for that one. I really haven't got a lot of experience with dealing with the complicated side of iPhone repairs yet. I mean, I'm still stumbling around just trying to get, you know, PMIC replacements and dealing with, water damage and things like that. So I'd say I've got at least maybe 6 months of hard work ahead of me before I would consider myself reasonably competent. And this is my TriStar 6S test board where I victimized it. It still works, thankfully, but yeah, fortunately I do have a lot of these broken iPhones. Well, they're not broken, but they're ones that people have surrendered to me. Okay, I suppose I better check to see if this charges properly too. Where's my charger? Bring out the custom homemade charger contraption, which has got a Samsung connector on it, which is no good. No. It's pretty ridiculous. I have multiple lightning cables, and yet somehow they always end up collectively in the wrong room. I needed to make a door barrier or something that prevents me from taking goods out of my workshops. Okay, well that's charging. We're at 53% and we're showing 800 milliamp odd transfer, so that's pretty acceptable. How'd the PMIC replacement go? Yeah, it seems like it went all right. I went from that PMIC burning up to now the phone only draws about 50 to 100 milliamp. It looks like it's got some sort of life in it, so it's been suggested to me that something is messing with the I2C lines. So I'm going to have to now start the process of just pulling off items that aren't required. It's only for data recovery, and from the original owner's perspective, they've already walked away from it. So if I do get any data off it, then it's just purely a big bonus for them. Pardon me. Hey, Wiltec. One of these keyboards. Joshua, is that one of those keyboards that is just like a 8 or 16 button thing that you can pre-program it? Oop, scratchy nose. Went to connect HDMI to a computer I built for a client. Discovered the tang from the backplate oh no. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been caught out for that a couple of times. Thankfully never got out of the workshop like that, but yeah, a few times I've snagged those. 750. Well, I'll let this charge up and see what happens. I'm very happy that the screen is not damaged. So it saves me drama. I'm willing to accept sort of a loss of the battery in terms of stock, and I can't even send this back anyway. If you send something like that through the postal system, then you're basically doing your best to try and burn down a truck or an airplane or something like that. So don't do that. If there's any faults with your batteries, don't send them in the postal system. Or if you do, make sure you notify them that, hey, this battery is on the verge of going pop, maybe catching fire. In this case, because it is a discharged one, it's less likely to be volatile, but you just don't know, so don't do it. Probably lost screw in case and spent, oh man. I hate it when you've lost that screw and you pick up the whole case and you like rotate around and try and listen for a rattling. Goods out of shop, yeah. Small wireless keyboard with a trackpad that apparently can be picked up in post. Oh, okay, all right, right. So you can use it in. Yep, I know what you mean. When you say post, you mean power on self-testing. Yep, cool. Well, that's it. That's a bit boring now. Let's see. What can I say about things? Oh, when you go to AliExpress and you order direct heat stencils, it's bullshit. These things don't handle direct heat. These things warp up like a potato chip, and they're direct heat stencils. It's okay, they're dodgy, but it's a bit like going to eBay. Alibaba is the eBay of Asia, and yeah. So I'm going to get some from Union Repair, the proper 3D ones. The only trouble is they don't have them for the iPhone 5 series. And most of the time, what I'm fixing here are 5Cs, and 5Ss. I do get a few 6s, but mostly it's in the 5 series. I mean, I'm still doing iPhone 4s. Black screw on black mainboard on black case. Yeah, good luck to you on that one, Greg. Well, Q's, no. These aren't the 3D stencils. That's the problem. I thought that maybe because they were rated as direct heat, they would be made of an alloy that would cope with the thermal expansion or the temperature coefficient expansion a little better, but not even close. These things, if I put a soldering iron tip over the metal just to try and clear up the old stuff, they just already start buckling out. So spend the extra money. I know it's like it costs you, I think, about $16 just for one, but it's gonna be less drama. So there you go. Learn from my losses here. The other thing is that maybe these were the cheap ones always, and then everybody got wind of the idea that you had to use the word direct heat for people because everybody was looking for direct heat stencils. So they just decided, well, we'll just add the word direct heat. As far as they're concerned, maybe they meant it can take direct heat and not melt like a piece of plastic. Who knows? Need to pick up some 3D stencils. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It took me 3 times to get the PMIC to be rebowled. It was a complete disaster. And with the final one, I still had to actually manually add 3 or 4 bowls into it. Uh, Even with the trick of using dry or drier solder paste, it was still a pain in the posterior. My Banggood stencils work great for $8, no warping. Oh well, you got lucky. I didn't. Yeah, exactly, Lynn. Yeah, they think it doesn't melt. So I'm just gonna bypass the whole situation and just get the 3D stencils outright. I'm gonna get them from what is it? Union Repair. I've also got to pick up a few other things. Even though I have that universal clamp. Where is my universal clamp? Seriously? Do I come in here at 4 o'clock in the morning or something? Oh, there it is. I'm starting to wonder if I come in here at 4 o'clock in the morning in a sleepwalking state and move things around. But yeah, so I've got this, and this is a really good general purpose clamp. But I am going to also get the ones that are dedicated and pre-cut for the particular iPhone boards. Usually takes some time, 1 to 3 times rebuild. The thing is, the PMIC isn't even an ultra fine pitch or ball size or anything like that. I would have thought that'd be pretty normal, but yeah, yeah, sleepwalking. I used to have a problem with that as a early 20s person for some reason, but fortunately I grew out of it. Ambien is a hell of a drug for sleepwalking and doing stuff like I don't think we get that here in Australia, but I do know of a few people in the United States who have used it, and yeah, they sort of it does tend to mess with them a bit. Leslie says, never done a reball, something I have to learn. It's not that bad, Leslie. like a rebuild SMC, I think the hardest thing perhaps sometimes is just simply if the chip is really small, sometimes bigger to the big ones. If the chip is really small, even with a few number of balls, just trying to keep that shield, not the shield, trying to keep the stencil flat over it and support it is the pain. I think that's where the 3D stencils are worth the money. Um, and then after that, like I said, try use a dried out solder paste because if you use the fresh stuff that's meant for circuit board screening and whatnot, the flux in it, it's when you heat it up, the flux boils out and pushes all the solder paste balls out of your stencil. So if you remove the majority of that before you apply it, then it makes things a lot easier. U.S. military can reject you from service for sleepwalking. Oh, that's interesting. Well, the Australian service rejected me anyway due to my hearing issues. Oh, g'day, Paul. Nice to see you in here. Hope your back's doing all right. Paul, see, new piece of equipment. Finally got the headset. Oh, wait, you were here the other day when we were messing around with it. Paul, the camera should be here in less than 7 days. It's currently in Singapore, on its way. What else I got to report to you? Nothing much else at the moment. Nope. It should be good. And things are going really well. So I'm very happy with it. I have the Wiley stencils and I've done a lot of reballing. The trick is to assume they will bend under heat, so don't try and flow all the balls. Yeah, what I have found World Tech is what I like to do now is I'll do my reballing on like a piece of metal like this. So I'll put the chip on and then the stencil over it. And that I found controls the lets you control the flash over a lot better. Whereas if I was using what was it, like my wood plank or anything else, like ceramic, whatever, then the flash over of the balls was just too quick. I couldn't keep it under control. But using that metal sheet, it sort of moderates the rate of change a lot better. But yeah, I mean, it's a learning experience and it is fun. Once you start to get the knack of it, it's quite nice to watch that flash over occur as you move your hot air across it. For the hot air machines that like what I've got, myself, Jason of SDS, and Chris Long, I'm finding 420 degrees centigrade and 42% heat seems to be a really good sort of universal starting point for us. Wondering why Chris Long had his dry. Yeah, it really makes it so much easier to do reballing if you let that paste dry out. And I'm kind of kicking myself because from the manufacturing, previously I had a tub, I think it was about a ½ kilo tub of solder paste, and it was good stuff, but it was old and all dried up and crusty. So I just threw it out. And now I'm thinking, oh great, I could have used that. Glass microscope slide works for warping too. I have heard that as well, Lynn. Has anyone had problems with that maybe cracking under the heat? Uh, like I worry a little bit that maybe depending on the thickness and the type of glass that those slides are made out of, the last thing I'd really want is for the glass to uh, catastrophically fracture due to the heat expansion. Now, I haven't had it myself with any glass slides because I've never tried it, but I know on other glass that I've worked on in the past, not with this sort of work, but other things, that it doesn't respond too kindly to having spot heat put on it. I need your microphone for my videos. Much better than the C922. Fixing things, it is... I'll send you the link. I got it off eBay through one... Here we go. eBay! But it was through a proper commercial supplier. But this is it. The Jerry Seinfeld on the front there. Young Jerry Seinfeld. And it's the Samsung XPD1 headset. It's just USB. As in, it's wireless here, but then just goes straight into USB. It works for Linux, works for Windows, works for Mac OS, so it's really good. It takes a bit of fiddling around. I paid, I think it was 149 plus postage on mine, or 169. They're generally Pyrex slides. Okay, alright. Use Gorilla Glass from phone screens. It should have, oh, that's an idea too. Yeah, I'm really happy with it now that I've got the various gains sorted out, because you have to set the gain on the plug pack to what you want. Because yeah, it's like you've seen Lewis with his as well. Yeah, there's a little gain control knob in there. That's set at about 65%. It runs off the Eneloop rechargeables, and so once you've got that, the output does, however, still seem pretty low when it gets into the computer. So I found me no speak properly. Uh, I'm sitting on about a 7 to 10 dB. I need to get a water around here. 7 to 10 dB gain once it's in your machine, and then it's usually pretty good to go out from there. Tag Jerry Seinfeld on that onto it. Yeah, I wouldn't be. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's just a coincidental look, but yeah, it's the first thing that I thought of when I saw young Jerry Seinfeld. I used to use glass over stencil, but stopped doing it after working out how to control the heat flow. Oh, okay. Well, I think maybe that's sort of what I'm doing with the double metal sheet. It lets me moderate the heat much better. In fact, sometimes I have to get quite close to the paste to make it flash over into balls. But it's nice because, yeah, it's none of this sort of very hypersensitive, delicate stuff. It's a really controlled transition. Yeah, let's. Well, I think I'm pretty much done. What is it? 2:20 in the afternoon. We've got this thing fixed up. I'm not going to make any money out of this, but at least I'm not going to make an enemy out of it in this case. Um, it can be tricky with these batteries because sometimes if you've got a dud controller board in here, then that can cause this problem to happen, because like if the controller board does not disconnect the battery from the drain when it drops below about, it should be cutting off at around about 2.9 to 3 volts. If that doesn't cut off, then and the phone keeps draining the battery, and this is what you get. So, given that it's a obviously a third party one, not an original, it could be that fault, or it could have just been a dud chemistry in the cells. I have had another one of these in the last week, and of the same era and batch, but again, it doesn't really answer the question of was it the chemistry or was it a controller board failure. Eneloop batteries are good batteries. I've been running them for years now. Yeah, I really do like them because yeah, they work for everything and they maintain that charge. I think I've got around about 30 or 40 of them. One of the stores in Australia was going out of business, and they were just flogging them off at like half price and whatnot. So I bought a whole bunch, and they've got to be 3, 4 years now. So, but they're still going really strong. Do you too on the 5G? I have got one of those to do, and I will probably do it on video. I'm most likely going to use the big fat hot iron flip off trick, which you probably have seen, where you scrape away the overfill and then you just get a blob of hot solder and iron and stick it onto the chip, the top of the chip, and then flick it out. I figure that's going to be the least stressful way. Borosilicate glass microscope slides are good too. We use the same for the 3D printer heat beds. Oh, okay. Good. Oh, by the way, hi Stray. Jonathan, yeah, it was the Dick Smith Electronics sale. They were putting the Eneloops on half price about 6 months before they started to close down, and that's when I started grabbing them. But yeah, that was where it was from. Do you not price stick your batteries and know what batch? I do, Aaron. That's what I was saying. Is like I know it's come from the same batch, but like I said, it doesn't answer to me why the failure has occurred. So I do know it's come from the same batch, but I just don't know why it's occurred. Aren't you worried to continue to hold that battery? No, it's it depends. Do you mean physically holding it, like right now, or retaining it in the workshop over a duration of time? I've when I was doing the model aircraft stuff, we would get batteries like this all the time, and they're not, particularly these days, they're not that volatile compared to what they used to be. I even if I puncture this, it will probably let out some nasty gas, and it will probably whoop. There you go. So it would have been an ideal video then if that actually had ignited and I had to kind of go running out of the room, and then you could watch everything burn, my whole life burn to the ground. But unfortunately, we didn't have that. Yeah, even if you puncture this, it will probably smoke and you'll see some glowing, maybe some flames, but they do tend to extinguish pretty good, particularly if they're in the discharge state. So that's the other thing. This is in a discharge puff state. It's not in an overcharge puff state, which is very different. Most 5G, yeah, I mean, the ones that they came with were already faulty anyway. Yeah, I have had one that ignited on me, but that was because I was trying to take it out of the case and it was already ruptured. It actually had an open. You could see the laminate layers in it. So I knew I was already dealing with a potentially fire hazard situation. And sure enough, when I moved it, it did reignite. I had my inner loops going on 10 years. Well, it's good because yeah, it's nice that they last that long. Well, certainly, like I said, I mean, I'm pretty sure these are 4 years, and I can't see any reason for them to not continue to be lasting a long time. Amazon basic low sulfur discharge ones. I haven't tried those, but yeah, not that I can really get them anyway. The DSC branded AA rechargeables, 1000 milliamp hour. Think I actually used to work at DSC. Back then we only had the nickel cadmium ones. Like that puts a bit of a time marker on when I was working there, which was basically 88 to 91. And, oh well. I think I'm going to wrap up. Go out there and do some more things. Maybe try clean my workshop. Now that would be something. And I'm going to go and hit refresh on the tracking of all my packages that I'm waiting on. It seems like nothing's decided to turn up today. It's Friday. That means nothing will turn up tomorrow because we do not get Saturday deliveries here ever. Okay, that's not true. We do get them at Christmas, the last weekend before Christmas. And what else? And I may not get anything on Monday because of the way the shipping works around here. Yeah, night CADs, yeah, I know. Fortunately, they're all pretty much phased out, except for things like lighting installations and whatnot. Uh, the upside of the NiCad, of course, is that they will tolerate a trickle charge indefinitely, whereas the nickel metal hydrides will not. If you indefinitely trickle charge a metal hydride, it will eventually, or rather rapidly, degenerate. 8191, the good old days, yes. That was only 10 years ago, wasn't it? Please tell me it was only 10 years ago. Yeah. Surprising how quick time moves on. So, which is why I need to get the whip to my back and get on with doing work because I'll go broke otherwise. And next thing I know, I'll wake up one morning and I'll be 75, technically retired, and in a bad situation. So, get the whip onto me. All right. Thank you everyone for dropping in. Sorry, it was just a really simple little fix here, but like I said, I'm kind of biding time until the microscope camera arrives and then we can really get rolling. But in the meantime, you all take care. And until next time, I'll see you later.